Well, hello everyone, this is CJ with Cyclotron. A few weeks back I did a video looking at what the theoretical risk would be for injury and fatality for riding a motorcycle, the average amount of miles per year over the course of 40 years. And I used the government's crash statistics for motorcycles for 2021, and they just finalized those statistics this summer. And what I found was, and of course I had to make a lot of simplifying assumptions, but just kind of wanted to get a handle on the overall risks. And turned out there was a 2.4% risk for having a fatality if you rode 40 years, year by year consecutively for 40 years. And that's a rather high number, but that includes people who are riding at excessive speeds, people who are riding impaired, people who are in younger age groups who have a disproportionate number of fatalities, unfortunately. So there's a lot of things that go into it. So then some of you in the comments section ask how that overall number would trend downwards. For example, if you lived in a state where riding was a little safer on the roads than, say, places like Texas. I really wouldn't ride in a big city in Texas. That's just me. But, if you consistently wore a helmet, if you were, well, just to go through it, I looked at it for my case. So I'm 59. I looked at what the risk reduction would be for someone in my age group. Another factor was engine displacement. So I'm looking at over 1,001 cc. I know a lot of you ride big cruiser and touring bikes that are well over 1,000 cc's in size. Not riding at excessive speeds, more or less. Sometimes I have some spirited riding, but I'm not doing triple digits on the highway. Not riding under the influence of drugs or alcohol. I always wear my helmet and all my gear. Right now I'm in the state of Minnesota. Minnesota had 1% of the motorcycle fatalities in 2021. So if you take the overall risk of 2.4% over 40 years, that's 24 fatalities in 1,000 riders over that 40-year period. So each improvement into reducing the risk is going to reduce that percentage as well. So we take 2.4%, and the methodology is you calculate the new risk percentage by taking the original percentage minus the original percentage times the reduction percentage. So I just ran the numbers. So in my age group, it knocked the risk from 2.4% to 2.1%. Since half the fatalities involved bigger bikes, it dropped from 2% to 1%, the overall risk in 40 years of riding for a fatality. Not riding at excessive speeds dropped it down to 0.8%. Not riding under the influence of drugs or alcohol dropped it to 0.6%. Wearing a helmet dropped it to 0.36%, and then riding exclusively in the state of Minnesota, 0.36%. So that's just under 4 per 1,000 riders over a 40-year period versus 24. So basically a risk reduction by over a factor of 6. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, these are all simplifying assumptions in terms of that the rates stay constant throughout the years and other things. But, as a thought exercise, I think it clearly illustrates what people would consider from a common sense point of view. Now, I will say, no matter how experienced you are, how careful you are, there's the wild card factor out there in traffic. And I've experienced this firsthand. I was on a 2-lane roadway with a speed limit of about 50 miles an hour, 45, 50 miles an hour in my town back in Overland Park, Kansas City area, and popped over a hill. It was going south, and you had 2 lanes going southbound with a median and 2 lanes going northbound on the other side of the median. And so we were going southbound in the fast lane, and as we pop over a hill, I see a wrong way driver in a car headed right at us, and they were only a couple of 100 yards ahead. I mean, I had to instantly swerve to get out of the way. And my son, who was 15 at the time, was right behind me. He would shadow my moves, but it was just so quick. I got out of the way, and then my immediate thought was, what about my son? And fortunately, he got out of the way too, but it was that quick. I mean, I probably had certainly less than a second, maybe a half a second to react, which was at the limit of where I could actually process it and and initiate an evasive maneuver. So you've got those things out there that no matter what, it can be a problem. However, consistency is key. I think if you manage your riding with these risk reduction principles consistently, you're obviously going to lower your overall risk for riding a motorcycle over a long period of time. And in case any of you missed it, I'll put a link here for that previous video. Didn't get a lot of impressions from YouTube, so hopefully you can check that out, and I go through the statistics in more detail. But I wanted to circle back and show that, yeah, there's definitely an incentive for responsible riding on a motorcycle, as most of you would have already guessed. So please let me know what you think in the comments section. Thanks for checking out this video, and please stay tuned for future ones.